I heard of Harry Belafonte when I was 16 or 17 years of age, and I studied my brother. And how I met him was I was going to try to audition for his part in the Broadway show Almanac when he went to California to do the movie Carmen with that very beautiful sister, oh boy, Dorothy Dandridge.
Dorothy Dandridge.
So I went to New York and auditioned to play his part in that Broadway show. Unfortunately, I didn't get the part, but that night after I auditioned, they invited me to the show to meet Harry Belafonte. And we had a meeting after the show and talked a few nice words. But for me, Harry Belafonte is about the best of the Calypsonians because he made Calypso popular in the United States of America so that all Calypsonians, including myself, had a broader audience to sing for or dance for or play for. So I love that man very, very much, and I'm deeply saddened by his passing. But I know that all of us who live to the age of 96, we suffer from the ravages of time. And it's only a matter of time before time that brought us into the world, time will take every one of us out. So my brother is gone, but I celebrate that man as one of not just Calypso, but he was a man of supreme integrity, honesty, commitment. That's the Harry Belafonte that I know. And the last time I had a chance to talk with him, Brother Roland, was maybe a few months ago. I asked one of my helpers to get in touch with his daughter, Gina, that I might be able to say something to him. And I persisted, and finally, Harry Belafonte came on the phone, and he said, Farrakhan, why are you desirous of talking with me? What is it? And I said, oh, Brother Harry, I just called to tell you how much I love you and how much I thank Almighty God for your mother and father who brought you into this world. And I thank God for the gift that He gave you that you have shared with millions. And I just was getting old, and I know you're a little older than I am. So before time took me or time took you, I just wanted you to know from the depth of my heart that I love me some Harry Belafonte. My wife loves and adores him, my children. And so we're a part of the fan club, if you will. But more than that, That man to me came from God. Only God gives life. Only God fashions life. And I can say this to you, Brother Roland, that you are fashioned by God, and that's why you can't be any different than what you are. You are a fighter using your gifts to make life better for those who would hear you, listen to you, and follow the counsel of you. And so Harry is that to me, and I shall miss him terribly. But thank you for having a program like this that Father Pfleger and I could be blessed to come on your show to talk about a man that both of us love. The moment I heard of his passing, I called Father Pfleger, because it was Father Pfleger when I was on an operating table in 2007 for 14 hours, which gave me what they call a pelvic exoneration. Many thought that I had reached the end of my days. And Father Pfleger brought my idol, so to speak, to the hotel, to the hospital to greet me. And from there, we've had many, many wonderful conversations. I never saw him as someone different because he focused on the civil rights question with Dr. King. I disagreed with Dr. King as a student of Brother Malcolm and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But you know, as time went on, I grew to love Dr. King. I grew to understand more the struggle of the Christian family as they pursue justice in America. And so Harry, to me, was this moral human being. I heard Father Pfleger talk about his hurt over being rejected after he had helped Mrs. Coretta Scott King and the King family after Dr. King's passing. He's a man of extreme integrity and deep and profound love. And when you're like that, you could hear it in all his songs when he was like a folk singer and a calypsonian. All the heart that he put into his music is what he put into the words that he spoke for justice for our people. And I was so struck by Brother Harry when he was with Dr. King in the closing years of his struggle for justice for us. And he was looking at Dr. King one day, and Dr. King seemed rather melancholy. And he said, "Martin, you seem so melancholy. Why are you so sad?" And Dr. King said, "I fear that I'm integrating my people into a burning house. That burning of America is going on as this program is going on, and we see and are living in and a part of watching the unraveling and the fall of the greatest nation on this earth in the last 6,000 years. So I admired Dr. King. I admired all of those that fought with him, not against him, but with him for our civil rights. And we would not enjoy the things that we enjoy today, some measure of freedom, some measure of political sagacity and power or office that we hold, if there were not a Dr. King and a Harry Belafonte and a Jesse Louis Jackson. So when my brother Jesse said he was going to run for president, I had just spoken at the 20th anniversary of the March on Washington, and Reverend Jackson invited me to a church where he was preaching that night. And when I listened to him afterwards, he said, "Farrakhan, I would love for you to help me in my struggle to become the nominee in the Democratic Party for the presidency of the United States." And I told my brother that I would talk it over of the nation and I'll get back to him. And I did what I said, and I became a surrogate speaker for Reverend Jackson and the movement that he so brilliantly led as he moved toward becoming the first black president of the United States. Reverend Jackson introduced me to the beauty of the black church. And because of Reverend Jackson, and because I loved Dr. King and loved Reverend Jackson for taking that bold step, and then he was assaulted. And since we had the FOI, the male members of the nation, with me and with us, we put them behind Reverend Jackson to protect him and his family. And that's how my controversy with members of the Jewish community began. I joined Reverend Jackson, and I saw an atmosphere being created by the media that could have had Reverend Jackson assassinated. And I reached out to members of the Jewish community, and I told them, we can stand to lose an election, but we can't stand to lose our brother. And that's when I was called a new black Hitler, and the dance of death began. And for 40 years now, I've had to wear the ugly label of anti-Semite or anti-Semitic hater, bigoted person. And so I've survived. And Reverend Jackson, though he dismissed me from being a speaker on his behalf, I never stopped cherishing the move that he made and the work that we did together to help his campaign. And I heard you earlier, Brother Martin, talking about hazing. And I so much agree with you. But to stand by and watch my brother strive to do something consequential for us as a people and not stand with him, not stand by him, not stand for him, and not be willing to make the sacrifice, if necessary, to protect him. And that's what Harry Belafonte was all about. He was a man of moral stamina, moral conviction. You know, dear brother, there's a verse in the Bible that said, perfect love casteth out fear. One of the great enemies of our speaking to power is our fear that if we speak too straight, too strong, too black, we'll lose some advantage that we have gained from friendship from white people or Jewish people or people of substance who have opened the door for us. I wouldn't be known all over the world if it were not for the Jewish people who felt so terrified that a black man would stand up and not bow down. A black man would be critical, not hateful, but critical, and not apologize for telling the truth. When you love deep enough, Brother Roland, speaking truth to power becomes easy, and every day that you love deeper, you preach stronger. Every day that you love deeper, you become one with God and one with the truth and one with the God who is love. So that's what makes Harry so great. He's in love with justice and truth and in love with his people. He loves America. He wants America to be better. So he made sacrifices. So my dear brother, deepen our love for self. Deepen our love for one another. We can't claim Jesus Christ and not understand what he taught when the last words that he mentioned before his crucifixion. Love ye one another, even as I have loved you. His whole demonstration was a love for the Father and a love for the truth and a love for the people. And that's why he spoke truth. And unfortunately, when the people said, crucify him, after he made the blind see, the deaf hear, the dumb speak, and raised Lazarus to life, that's the painful part, because now many of us have opportunities that we never had before. We have wealth that we never had before. We have a level of comfort that we never had before. And we've been brought out of obscure lives and put before the world on television. And now the world knows us, but we did not know that they were making us comfortable and giving us wealth and nearness to them, so that one day when justice would come to them, and they know that they're going down and they want to take us down with them, then they will call in the chips. So don't get too happy over the money that you got and the fame that you got and the shows that you got and the records that you sell. Let me tell you, he's going to ask you to denounce a good man. He's going to ask you to be of those that are hateful of us.
That's right.
And if you love comfort more than you love truth, if you love the beautiful home that you may have more than justice, more than speaking truth to power, you will compromise your position to hold on to a material thing that's going to die anyway.
Teach me.
So, my brother, as I thank you from the depth of my heart for your question, and I thank Brother Roland for allowing me this time to be with you, I urge us, love yourself, love your people. Yes, some of us are just ugly acting. It's true. But it's not because that's the way we are by nature. That's the way we've been made by circumstances. So my job as a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is to look past the fault and look at the need. Suffice the need and you'll crush the fault. Our people need to be loved. Our people need to be taught. Our people need to throw away the blindfold that keeps us ignorant. And after that, we'll be all right. So thank you so much. I know time is running.
The informative information presented in this video is motivational and is positively aimed at inspiring, educating and entertaining the viewers with the cutting edge of critical reasoning. If you enjoy the contents on the Black Radar YouTube channel, please consider subscribing to show your support.